So I have a great friend whose name is Susan Scheer. She's currently the CEO of the Institute of Career Development, and she's going to talk about the phenomenal success she's had since March of 2017 in supporting people with disabilities getting jobs. It's a model program for urban America. Previously, she was the Associate Director for Policy in a couple of New York City controller offices. She was probably the best person in both of those offices. She has 20 years in public service. She was director of the Disability Services at Columbia University, at Sydney, and in the city government, mayor's office, Office of the Public Advocate, where we first met, and the Department of Transportation, and she has had tremendous success in launching amazing transportation programs. She was a member of Community Board 3. She received the prestigious Lone Public Service Award, has a wonderful husband and grown daughter, and she is a magna cum laude graduate of Yale University. I give you Susan Scheer.
Thank you, Gail. Gail is everybody's greatest supporter and the best person to have in the corner of the disability community. And a shout out to my boss right before this, Controller Scott Stringer. Good to see him in the audience. Also, an incredible supporter of the disability community, and great to see him here. So we just had a fantastic panel. Wasn't that a really great discussion? And we heard a lot during that panel about the need for employment and how important employment is for dignity, for economic advantage, for pushing people ahead and giving them opportunity. And I'm never about wanting to, it's never a wise idea, never anything anyone wants to do is to pit one group against another. But I do want to point out that there is one group that tops the list of being under and unemployed. One group that has been left behind more than any other during the longest economic expansion in our country's history, left out of this recovery on the wrong side of the income inequality equation, and that is individuals with disabilities. You will not believe this statistic. 77% of New York City residents with a disability are not in the workforce. If you opened the New York Times tomorrow and it had a headline that said 77% of African Americans or women or any other group, people of color, were so underrepresented in the workforce, there would be a national outcry, congressional hearings, maybe not in this administration, but under normal times, there would be. And this is a group that crosses every demographic, every income, every racial group, every religion, and it's a group that any one of us can join at any time. So this is not somebody else's issue, this is everybody's issue. Everyone in this room has somebody in their family, a friend, that has a disability or is going to acquire one in the near future. And that's why I'm so excited to tell you a little bit about ICD, the Institute for Career Development. We have been around for 100 years. We were formed at the end of World War I to help returning wounded World War I veterans gain rehabilitation, and get back to work. Think about what a novel idea that was in 1917, that first of all, it was the first war that people came home from, that the medical treatment improved, and then to develop speech therapy, occupational therapy, mental health therapy for veterans, and to say, you have a place in our society. We want you to be reintegrated. We want you to be able to support yourself. Now, fast forward 100 years, we're not teaching people any longer how to be stenographers or illustrators or operate a film projector. Those were some of the early careers that people were trained for. Today, ICD is training people for the jobs of the future. And we're looking to address a broken workforce development system. How is our system broken? We have employers over here who are saying, we have all of these jobs that we can't fill, and we have individuals with disabilities that are getting training who are saying they can't find jobs. Something is not working. And when we went out and we started to talk to employers, one of the things that we heard was, we need people to fill technology jobs. And one of the great things about the tech industry is what they care about is ability. Not disability, ability. Can you do the job? And technology is the great leveler, especially for people with disabilities. Put the right assistive technology in people's hands, and they can do whatever anybody else can do with this same set of talents. So we looked at this, what the city was reporting, which is that there's going to be 100,000 jobs created in the field of cybersecurity, and we created the very first IT academy in the world. It just launched this fall to get people with disabilities certifications in networking and cybersecurity under the label of Cisco. It is, yeah. It's really exciting. It's becoming not only a model in our city, but it's a model that we hope to see replicated around the country and around the world. We have assistive technology. We have people who are deaf, people who are have spinal cord injuries, people on the autism spectrum, people with learning disabilities, and they're all on a level playing field, and it's about what they can learn and what they can do. And the most exciting piece of it is it's employer-driven. We have a number of employers that are supporting us both financially, but also with their time and resources. They're coming in, they've helped us develop the curriculum, they're talking to the students about what the field is like, they're providing leadership, and they're going to be there to provide internships and jobs. And I just want to tell you, it's always nice to talk about these things in an abstract, but there's one student in the class that to me just really brought it home. His name is Nigel. He's 32. He has multiple sclerosis, which is unusual to have a diagnosis at such a young age. And he told us about how he would get called in for job interviews, and he would get to the interview, go into the room, the person would take one look at him and immediately start figuring out how to get him out of the room and how to get out of this interview without getting into legal trouble. And I have to say that is a situation I myself is very familiar to me about putting people at ease during a job interview. And today Nigel is talking about the great jobs, the great opportunities that this training has opened up for him, and how exciting it is to see employers eager, hungry to give him a chance to work and to put his talents and skills to work. So, absolutely. So to conclude, a couple of quick things. One is, we talk about diversity and inclusion. That D in diversity has to include disability. It's the last one in the list, but it's time for it to join the diversity and inclusion lineup. We need to recognize and reward companies that are doing a good job. Nothing motivates other folks like seeing companies, their peers, doing a great job. There are companies out there that are doing a good job, and there's a lot of room for others to join them. We need the city to put its policy oomph behind this, especially around MWBE. People with disabilities have not really been part of the MWBE family. The city spends a lot of money in a lot of different contracts. They're not pushing to make sure that that money is going to companies that are owned by people with disabilities and that employ people with disabilities. And there's a lot of force to be put into work there. And organizations like ICD need to be at the table. There's an expression in the disability community, nothing about us without us. And we need to be part of the policy agenda, the policy discussion to push this issue forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Susan Scheer.